Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Guess what? We're doing it. We're finally doing it. We're talking about this. That's right, the Jumper T Pro with Express LRS. Let's get into this thing. I know I'm late to the game, but I'm telling you what, I want to get a lot of packs under this thing so I can give you my honest thoughts, not just I put it in my hand and I don't like it. Did I just say? Well, all right. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna let you know what I think about it. I already kind of did. I do not like this radio. But before we get into the do's and the don'ts and what I like and don't like about it, let's talk about what you get. For the price, you get a 1 watt Express LRS transmitter, a radio that runs off 18650s, 2 of them. That's a lot of battery. You get a fully flappy antenna, which is, we'll talk about that. 2 sticks, a couple buttons, and a case. You actually get a case with this thing. No extra charge. You get a case. It's a nice little case. And also you get a module bay that you can plug into the back and a set of really crappy gimbal covers. But you know what? They work. Better than a sharp stick in the eye. So, no one cares about that. Let's dive into the radio real quick over on the bench. I want to talk to you about our sponsor, you. You are what makes this channel happen. Your constant support through clicking through the affiliate links at tweetfv.com, in the video description, or going to my Patreon, becoming a patron, and helping me out that way, or even just going to Discord and being a nice person on Discord and being a positive member of the hobby keeps me going. If you want to help me out, you think what I'm doing is benefiting you, if it saved you time, money, entertained you, whatever, click the link in the video description and show me your support. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, folks, so this is the Jumper T Pro. This is the Express LRS version. There are a couple other models. There's a 4-in-1 model, and there is this one, the 2.4 gigahertz. Right there, it says it, and it's got the big old flappy antenna on it. Whatever, who cares? The radio grips. Want to get a set of these? Go to tweetfv.com or go to racedayquads.com. They should have them in stock fairly soon. And add a little bit of bling and some extra little bit of traction to your radio. All right, first thing off the bat, it's light. It is a light radio. I do like that. And it has a very small form factor, which is what I like. I like gamepad style radios because they're small and they don't take up a ton of space in my bag. With that said, this feels cheap. It's creaky, it's cheap. I mean, honestly, the Beta Light radio feels better than this. I'm going to try really hard not to compare this to other radios, because I have some other ones. I'm going to try to review it based on what it is. For me and my hand size, they're not, I'd say these are large hands, not extra large or small. I do not like the gimbal placement. The sticks are a mile high, and this is in their lowest position. And you know, you might be thinking, oh, well, just turn them down a little bit. Well, unfortunately, without going through and actually cutting the stick apart, that's not going to get any better. The stick ends are good. I do like the stick ends. They're not too bulbous, and they are fairly sharp. They're not like cutting holes in your fingers sharp, but they definitely do offer a bit of grip. I thumb. I like the way it feels for thumbing. If I were a pincher, this would be fine. The issue I have with the gimbals is A, they're too tall. There is no contour to them. See, they're completely flat across. So when you, or at least for me, try to get to the center or try to get to the inner upper corners, it is hard to get there. They're very very tall. If these were recessed into the shell, maybe 5 millimeters, or even if they had a little bit of a contour to them like some other radios, that would make this a much better radio. The interface on the front, I love it. Simple. 3 buttons, scroll wheel, click. All you need. We have trim switches. Yes, there are trim switches on this. Awesome thing to have. These buttons up here, these are individual buttons. I don't care about them. I fly quads. I don't need them. Doesn't matter to me. The top of the radio. Momentary switches. Who the was thinking about this? This is wrong. This is not what should be here. These should be latching switch latching switch or a latching switch and a momentary, not two momentaries. This causes a lot of extra hassle in the Edge TX configurator or the Edge TX operating system to actually make those switches useful for our hobby. Yes, you could map your arm switch to the 3-position switch, but that just doesn't feel right. This feels right. Feels right-er. I was curious what they like. All these radios come with one model already loaded in them. I was curious what was going to come as far as the channel mapping goes, because ExpressOS must have arming on aux 1. Guess what? They didn't map anything. They got away with not being honest about it, in my eyes. The sliders are very nice. They're very well dampened. They're not really floppy or anything. And they don't really have a center to them. They do, but they don't. It's very, very, very faint. Like right there, but it's like you really gotta be feeling for it. Not much to it. And then, like I said, we have a 3-position switch on each side. Momentaries, 3-position, and a slider. That's all you really need. That's more than you need. On the bottom here, we have a connection for, I believe it's a headphone jack or a trainer. I can't remember which one it is. Either way, you're never going to use it, so who cares? And then we have a USB-C port for charging and firmware updates. USB cord doesn't fit. Same issue we saw with the Beta FEV Express LRS module. Now, everybody crucified Beta FEV because they didn't make it big enough for the cord. Guess what, folks? It is. It is the right size because this USB cable has a very specific spec, dimension, size, contour, pinout that it needs to be an actual USB-C cord. This meets the USB-C specification. Guess what? Works just fine. Also works in that Express LRS module. This USB-C cable, which is far more expensive, looks really nice and braided, big old bulbous gland end on it, doesn't fit because this does not comply to the specification of USB-C. Still like that cable though. But before you guys bag on them because it doesn't fit, it's not them, it's you. Well, not you, but you, the manufacturers of USB cables, especially the kind you get off, Amazon. That's it for the outside of the radio. I like the interface. It is running Edge TX because it has the internal Express LRS. Shut up. Because as the internal Express LRS module, it has to be running Edge TX. There are some issues with the setup. I have had a couple videos out. The developers, the manufacturer Jumper did not really interact with the Express LRS developers or the Edge TX developers to give you, the customer, a way to flash the internal module if for some reason the Wi-Fi flashing didn't work because A, you don't have Wi-Fi in your home. Some people don't have Wi-Fi. Or B, you brick the flash because you flashed the wrong thing to it, or for some reason you had a power failure while you're updating it. There is no option. There is no option from Jumper. The super smart people over at ExpressOS have figured out a way to make this work, which will go into a running change in the future for these radios. Configuration's very simple. The other thing that I noticed when I picked my radio up for the first time is see how we have the ExpressLRS Lua script on here. This radio doesn't come with the ExpressLRS Lua script. Why? Why, Jumper? Why wouldn't you put it on there? You include an SD card with all the sounds and all the other stuff, but no ExpressLRS configurator. They do include the TBS Agent Light, which I guess you can use for ExpressLRS, but if this is an ExpressLRS radio, why not put the stuff on it it's supposed to have? Perhaps you probably should have talked to the developers. I don't know. Anywho, pretty basic configuration. Not a bad layout. I really like the simplicity of just menu, page, return, and then scroll and click. The scroll wheel is actually very nice. I've had I've been outspoken at how much I hate a lot of the scroll wheels. FR Sky, excellent job at the scroll wheel on the QX7. TBS, meh, okay. Radiomaster TX16S was hot garbage. The Radiomaster TX12, not very good either. This is good. It's nice and accurate. It doesn't jump around the menus randomly, and it's a nice, solid click. I like it. Good job. Around to the back of the radio, we have our battery storage spots here. We're running two 18650s in series, so this brings it up to a 2S radio to give it a little bit of extra juice for that external module bay, which plugs in right here and then just mounts in this place. Let's go ahead and get into this radio and we'll see what's inside. All right, now that we have this most of the way back together, let's go ahead and get some power output readings. I'm using my Immersion RC power meter. Again, this is not a precision device, but it's good enough. At 25 milliwatts, we're getting basically 25 milliwatts. At 50, we're up around the 81 milliwatt range. 100 milliwatts, we're looking at 135-ish. 250, we're at 350. Half a watt, 500 milliwatts. About 500 milliwatts, pretty close. And let's take it up to 1 watt. We are at 600 milliwatts. Let's just let it sit here for a little bit. All right, folks, well, after about 10 minutes of sitting there at 1 watt, we've managed to make it down to about 550 milliwatts. The module on the inside, she is real toasty. That thing is actually really hot. It's actually to the point where you would burn yourself if you touched it. But luckily, you can't touch it from the outside. And we can check out the power consumption while it's charging. And we're looking at about half an amp. So this doesn't have any sort of quick charge capability to it. It does take forever to charge two dead 18650s. Just my experience. But with that being said, this thing's going to run for a very long time on these two 18650s. And one of the things I talked about were these silly momentary switches and how they are the incorrect switch for this radio. Whatever, they're there. If you bought it, you got it. I'll show you how I set up my radio, and you can choose to set it up however you want. So the way I fly is this switch here is arming, and this one is turtle mode. You notice I have an auditory prompt. For those functions. So let's go into the model, and I'll show you how these set up. So we go into our inputs page, and you see I have SC and SD defined as input 5 and 6. That's the two momentaries up here. So SC and SD. Those are showing up as input 5 and 6. I'm going to go over to logical switches, and I made two sticky switches, one for each side. So for logical switch 1, the function is sticky. V1 is SC down, that's momentary switch down. V2 is SC down as well, and then leave the rest blank. So that's logical switch 1. Logical switch 2 is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing, but for SD, the right-hand momentary switch. Next, we're going to scroll over, and we're going to assign sounds to these. That way, I know whether the switch is pressed or not, because there is zero other way to know that you have it activated, because the switches aren't latching. Again, not the right switch. For logical switch 1, I'm going to play track, armed, and leave that as just dashed out as nothing. And then for the next one is going to be the opposite of that. So we're still going to select logical switch 1, but we're going to invert that logical switch. And we're going to play track and then disarmed and then leave that dashed out. And then it's the same thing for logical switch 2. Remember, it's going to be this one here. We're going to have logical switch 2, place sound, and then whatever is something that you're going to recognize. So I just did a beep, and then inverse of logical switch 2 as a different beep. So we've got when that's active and when it's not active. When it's active, not active. And in the logical switch page, you can see when a switch is active because it goes bold. And when it's not armed, it goes not bold. And that's just the quick and dirty way I set this radio up to use these momentary switches for how I traditionally like to have my radio set up. Now, maybe you won't set yours up that way. Maybe use the 3 position just because that's what you're used to. That's not how I'm used to flying, and I couldn't be bothered to use these for arming and whatnot. I still want to have that arm, disarm, turtle mode, and fly. All right, so that is the Jumper T-Pro Express LRS radio. Not a bad radio when you look at it on paper. It ticks most of the boxes. It has a 1-watt transmitter, 18650s. It's small, okay-ish gimbals. Comes with a case. Price is right. Comes with SD card. Comes with HTX. But for me, it is a no-go. Those momentary switches, I honestly think they're basically dangerous. There's no way to know what position they are without looking at your screen, and guess what? We wear goggles while we fly, so you can't see where your switches are. You lose that sense of being able to touch them and go, oh, that's armed, or that's active, that's not active. Whether that's going to be a big deal in the end, I really don't know. It's kind of up to you. I personally do not like it. It also does not have the VTX backpack function that Express LRS uses. What is VTX backpack? It is a separate transmitter that is inside of this that talks to your goggle module. It talks to your goggle module. That way you can go into your VTX settings in Express LRS, go, hey, I want to switch from R4 to R8. Your goggles go bloop, R8. Your quad goes bloop, R8. And you don't have to touch anything. It doesn't have that functionality. And there's really no way to break that out because Jumper didn't leave any UARTs available to solder in a VTX backpack. Whatever. It's a minor thing, but it's something that it should have had. I don't like the ergonomics of it. I don't like the gimbals. I don't like how long the sticks are. It doesn't fit my hand. It may fit yours just fine, but not me. For me, this radio is a miss. I really, really, really wanted to like this radio. I don't. There's some things I do like, and there's some things I don't. There's enough that I don't like that this will not be replacing my daily driver. And I don't know. It's just me. I don't like it. If you do like it, or you think you will like it, or maybe the price is right and you want to get yours, go ahead and click the link in the video description. That'll hook you up with an affiliate link. That'll help me out. Help keep this content coming. So in the end, should you buy this radio? I'm going to say no. There are 2 other radios that I know of on the horizon. I may have one of them already, that I think are a better choice. On paper, they don't seem like it, but in reality, that's where we're talking. So on the horizon, we have the Zorro and we have the iFlight Commando 8. I don't have the Commando 8 yet. I do have the Zorro. I've been flying both of these radios back to back. This is where I'm going to get into a little bit of the comparison. I've been flying these 2 back to back a lot over the last couple weeks, and I definitely prefer one over the other. But anyways, stick around. I will be having another review video coming out on the Radio Master Zorro, and after that I'll have one on the iFlight Commando 8. And when all those things are done, we'll come back and we'll put all 3 of them head to head. I'll show you what I like, don't like, the differences, compare and contrast those radios, just so you guys can see what's out there. So if you're in the market to buy a radio and you don't need one right away, I would hold off and see what comes out on the horizon. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking us out. And as always, stay positive.
You ain't gotta